No,
Hit it.
Just
No,
it's
just
8:05.
No,
Just hit it.
around.
DJ, spin that shit. Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody. How are you all feeling? It is a great Monday to be with y'all. Happy July, everybody. That one snuck up on you like a thief in the night.
July 4th when the rest of the world hears this. If you're not a Patreon member.
That's true. Yeah.
Or,
I mean,
or on Facebook, I guess.
Yeah, we're on Facebook, so
We're
people
live.
hear it now. But you're also right. When this drops, the audio listeners, happy Independence Day.
Now you gotta pick between your Juneteenth episode or our July 4th episode.
Those are the last two. That's quite the turn.
American Psycho being the July 4th episode it makes me so happy. I am over the moon.
Yeah, it's a good one. If you're not watching the live stream, highly encourage you do. My favorite moments for that are catching clips of Brian that I don't remember. Like there's a clip of Brian with his old wallpaper, like dancing like this. And I want to know what episode is that from? When did that happen?
Yeah.
Because the wallpaper makes it so much better.
Yeah. Is it in the intro?
Yes.
That's definitely an episode where we were celebrating something, or maybe it was just a regular intro. Because sometimes Brian dances before we had the clipped intros. It was just like right into it.
I want to say it might have been the 100th. It might have been.
It might have been 100th. I could also imagine it being that movie Fresh, Brian.
Oh, yeah.
Doing the same sort of dance that Sebastian Stan did. So I could also see that.
The movie that finally got Brittany to be like, no, I'm not watching the movies, Brian.
Not watching with Brian.
No, absolutely.
I'm surprised I haven't gotten to that point.
You haven't. You've been lucky so far. So yeah. But gentlemen and everybody listening, we have a great episode. We asked our Patty family to pick the movie this week.
Yes.
And they picked the 2000s American Psycho starring Christian Bale. And so we are going to get into that later. There's also some other news that we're going to talk about too here and there. But we got a full episode. We got a whole stack to get through. So in order to do this well, in order to do it right, I got to make sure everybody is thoroughly welcomed and introed and brought into this space. I'm going to kick it on over to Brian Roush. Brian, how you feeling, sir?
Man, I went on a roller coaster today, so I'm very happy to be here because I feel like I'm going to even out. I know for the next 2 hours it's going to be enjoyable. So very, very excited to be here. I unexpectedly did not have childcare today, so I had to call off work, which is like, okay, cool. But then it's like, it's just me and these 3 kids, and it is go, go, go. So that was like my morning, and then I had to attend a wake for a neighbor that passed away. So that like changed the mood a bit. So now I'm here and I'm feeling the good vibes. So I'm good. It's good to be here. It's good to be with my guys. Also, like on a short work week, it feels good. So very, very excited to talk about American Psycho as well, because I watched this alone at 11 p.m. on Saturday night, and I just kind of was alone by myself with my thoughts after it ended. And that's why I have my Chiron as the post-movie cartoon, because I had to flip on Simpsons after this or something to like get my brain in the right space to fall asleep.
Yep, I get that. Brian, you were like the Weeknd in that like Super Bowl spot where he was like turning those mirrored corners, not quite sure what he was going to come up on next. Like,
hilarious.
It's the toys and there's a mess. Oh God, it's awake. Like you just were like all over the
pretty much. Day off of work. All right, 3 kids. Kids awake. It's exactly. The head waiter from the movie Casablanca, 2-day work week.
In the comments.
I'm with you, Roman.
Shout out
to the short work week.
You know what I think I figured out here just from Roman conversations with Roman, and shout out to Roman Myers, great guy. If he's big part of our Patreon, our Patty family. If you hear us talking about him throughout the episode, it's because we have him or others joining us in the comments. So when we stop to read random comments or get stopped in our tracks and don't read random comments because that would be risky to do on air. That's why. Also, I also figured out, head writer from the movie Casablanca, Roman Myers he's a super great guy, as you just said.
Yep.
I also think that Roman may or may not be using like nicknames to cover himself from maybe his family or his job ? Because I got a weird message from him the other day of like, I can't let people know because if some of the things that are said. So I don't know if we're supposed to be like calling him out, like reading the nickname and then going straight into, hey, blase, blase, blah, aka Roman Myers.
They don't watch this.
No, they don't watch this.
They don't watch
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better,
yeah,
Roman.
right.
Don't worry about it, man.
Actually, no, I hate that. Yeah, for sure. Fuck me. Keep going.
But Marcus J. Destin, good transition. Marcus J. Destin, aka this is my black job. How you feeling, sir?
This is my black job. This is 1/3 a black-owned business.
Yes,
and
true.
so
That's right. It's a good way to put it.
No, he's absolutely right. This is truthful. I
didn't know how else to split it and break it down, but no, I'm feeling good. It was a hell of a Monday. We're in July for those working in higher ed.
Yeah,
starting
you're in
August.
July.
Good gracious, from on high. So like it's gonna get pretty crazy, but
it's gonna get weird. Everybody, strap in.
Yep. Yeah, feeling good though. I'm here with my guys. I'm in the same boat as Brian, ready to just fucking be here and fucking pod. You dig?
Yeah. Ready to pod.
Very excited.
What about you, Doug? How are you?
Doing well. Had a good weekend. Went out and about with some friends on Saturday, which was a lot of fun. So that was a blast. Did that. Spent some time with Marcus and Megan Redford Shaw and John Little. So shout out to those two. So which was a lot of fun. And then other than that, it's just been sort of like getting ready. We're gonna travel this week to go see family for the 4th.
Nice.
So just gearing up for that. And then it's July. It's gonna be kind of a sprint. I have a conference, then I'm going to cabin, and then I have a week, and then I gotta travel again. So it's just like it's July. So like I'm just like in it, which is really, really great. So
nice.
but the weather's been nice. So I mean it's hard to argue with that. I mean it was like 75 and sunny. So yeah, it was great.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. But gentlemen, we have a whole episode to get to. So we need to put a game we call Catch That Quotable.
Catch that quotable.
Silky sounds of Marcus J. Gentlemen, are you ready for this week's quote?
Hit me.
All right, hit me. I've got to go, Julia. We got cows.
That's what?
Oh, I know this. I will buzz in.
Oh,
Full confidence. 100%. This is Twister.
This is absolutely Twister.
Oh,
this
okay.
is 110% Twister.
Maggie, if you're watching, be proud of me. This is one of her favorite movies.
Yeah,
this is an easy one this week. Don't say that because we got it, Roman. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes we just got that shit because we know movies. Like,
we do know some movies, not a lot of them, but we know.
No, we know more than most, is what I'm realizing. We know more movies.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but an $80. So we're going to announce that charity. We're very close. We're very excited.
I guess I gotta
all right.
Yeah.
All right, I got to start researching nonprofit. Okay, all right.
You got to get your nonprofit bag.
Remember, we are going. The next one is going to a domestic violence, and we want to match.
I blanked on that. Yes, it will be an organization related to domestic violence.
I want to be a man of my word. So thank you, everybody.
There you go.
Absolutely. We got your back.
Absolutely. But gentlemen, before we get into what movie we watching?
American Psycho.
Whatever. It's Monday. Before we get into American Psycho, you all have some news pieces because you all did a good job of doing homework. I did not. So what do you all have to chat about? I will dealer's choice on who goes first.
Brian, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. And I'm gonna be honest with you folks that you've heard this one before, and it's because I just really like dunking on Paramount because they've made such a large series of poor decisions in such a short amount of time. It's just fascinating to me. So you're probably like, what did Paramount do this time, Brian? Well, I'm here to tell you, Paramount Plus back at it again. They're trying to find another dance partner to merge their streaming service with. And according to CNBC, that streaming service is Max. So if you like Max and you were like, you know what, I kind of want some SpongeBob on here, well, you're in luck. So right now, according to CNBC, there are active talks between WB and Paramount about merging those services, and analysis is all over the place. I'd say it's about a 50-50 chance if this actually happens. And a lot of folks are saying that if they were to go into a deal together, the profits would not be split evenly. It's very clearly, it's something that would be good for Paramount Plus to get their products out in front of more people in a better delivery system, essentially, with a wider net. And on top of it, they would get more. They're basically like, we'll have more exposure. That sounds great. This at the same time, now there's a new suitor that would like to buy Paramount. And he goes by the name Barry Diller. If you don't know who that is, that's okay. He was the CEO of the Paramount Corporation in the 70s and the 80s. His big claim to fame is that when he was at the helm, Laverne and Shirley, Taxi, Cheers, and Grease, as well as Raiders of the Lost Ark. So we got some hits in here. But those were his big claims to fame when he was running Paramount. So this guy who ran it in the 80s is now trying to buy Paramount.
1978, like
yeah, pretty much. His last hit before he left the studio was Beverly Hills Cop in 1984.
The first one, the original Beverly Hills Cop,
the original Beverly Hills Cop.
Okay.
So he's been out of the game a little bit. Obviously, he's been doing stuff in between then, but that is who is trying to make a bid for Paramount now. So Paramount, they're going through it. They're raising prices. They're trying to find a partner to stream with. And now they have somebody new who's trying to buy them out after the other deal fell through with Skydance. So Paramount going through it right now.
I envision a short, balding white man with really big glasses who smokes a lot of cigars, who's going to walk up and say, you know what the kids want these days? And he's got like, that's exactly, that's who he is. That's Barry. And Barry is going to be like, they want more sitcom.
I mean, this is what, I mean, Doug, you're not far off. This is the picture of him at the Met. I don't have a date. But yeah, we're looking at a picture of a white guy in a tux.
That's it for me. Good night, everybody.
He's white Nostradamus. How did you do that? That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got the white hair on
Nostradamus might have been already white. I don't know why I called him white.
All he needs is the cigar Doug's talking about.
Yeah, well, and you know what? He definitely has. You know, his reading glasses are those big fuckers.
It's the big ones. And he has a painting of dogs playing poker in his office.
Oh yeah,
that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know. Say no more.
Like Bob Iger, as soon as I found out he had those newspaper clippings in his bathroom,
touching himself.
Yeah, I knew. I knew.
I'm the Ig. I'm the Ig. I'm the Ig.
Oh no! Double shower day. Cancel all my 5 p.m.
I got a shower.
I'm the big. I'm the Big. Bob Iger.
The notorious B.I.G.
I'm the notorious B.I.G.
It's me. Wow. Well, Brian, and here's the thing. I almost wonder if Max would have too much stuff on it. You know what I mean? Like at some point in time, like you're going to get to decision fatigue and it's going to defeat the purpose, right? Like it's going to be so much stuff that you kind of like walk away from it. Like Netflix is good enough, like you can see your highlights well enough, and they have a user interface that works. Right. Max's isn't that great, and so they're gonna have to figure that out.
I think so. I'll kind of play devil's advocate here. I don't think Max's is that bad. You have to scroll down a bit to get to the point where you can pick the icons, but Max's interface has never been like its going thing for itself. Like its user. It's not like I think Disney Plus has the easiest for me. It's like everything all the things that we're separated into, even Hulu. They've just added Hulu and gave it a nice little cool intro at the top of Disney Plus now. So like that incorporation seemed kind of like flawless and seamless. They even changed their branding to kind of be that hue of green to kind of show the combination of everything.
Yep.
I don't think, Max, you do got to go down a little bit far, but I don't think it's terrible, but it is a lot of shit on there.
I mean,
I would think like because Netflix and Disney Plus have it so easy to see like the things that you were recently watching, and it's just kind of like they've made them very small on Max's display that I feel like it would be hard for me to get back to the things that I like. So anyway,
I agree. I agree.
I
agree with
I
you.
do want to say that I feel like Max's philosophy here is like, it reminds me of like the giant tabloid newspapers back in the day. I don't see him as much anymore, but like it would be like Bat Boy or whatever. And it's like, whoa, that guy looks like a bat on the cover. And I feel like with Max, it's like, hey, do you like House of Dragon? And that's just the entire splash page. And you're like, I do. And they're like, great, just click this thing. And you're like, okay. But if you want to say like, hey, I'd like to find the original Wonder Woman, it's like, you better keep tabbing, buddy.
Fucking grab a shovel, bud, because you gotta get through some stuff.
You're going way past the
You're
red
definitely
line.
not finding Wonder Woman on that. So yeah, I actually contradicted myself. I did. I contradicted myself a little bit. I have a question for Doug whenever Brian's done his name.
Go ahead.
So Doug, we didn't read your
didn't.
Your nickname this week, your AKA. It's
Oh.
Doug Hoodie and the Blowfish.
What's happening there?
Can you tell us like a little bit about what that's about?
Okay, so I went out with Marcus and other folks on Thursday, and I don't think they're gonna invite me back. Like that's just the like. Here's the thing: I was laughing so hard, Brian, my eyelids hurt. Like that's how hard I was laughing.
Oh, Doug.
So we went to CC's to start.
Okay, wait. I always like to protect my white friend, right? Doug is a good white friend of mine, right? And I feel like this might be like setting you up for failure.
No, because it was a genuine mistake. Like
no. You're not saying the part that I said.
No, I'm gonna say that part because that's what made me laugh. So
okay, all right, keep going.
And that's what I can't stop thinking about. So anyway,
I don't know.
I had a THC seltzer with my dinner. I obtained it legally because it's sold by the establishment. So there's that. And then we had dinner, and we're sitting there, and a song came on, and I can't remember what it was. No, we were talking because Marcus is going to DJ a wedding, but the wedding is going to have a lot of like 90s country. So I'm very excited to see him a part of that scene.
Hope you like Toby Keith.
Yep.
I actually do like Toby.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
I listen to a lot of different stuff, but yeah.
But anyway, what's funny is someone was like, "Yeah, you can't even do Hoodie." God, Hootie and the Blowfish. I fucking did it again. You can't even say Hootie and the Blowfish. And then I said, like, yeah. I looked at Marcus and I went, yeah, Hoodie and the Blowfish. But right when I said Hoodie, my eyes, Brian, went like, oh no, like super wide. And of course I'm a little high. So I start like laughing. Marcus starts laughing. He goes, is that a Trayvon Martin joke? And that's when I lost it. That's when my eyes closed and I was in tears. I was laughing so hard. And Brian, I lied down yesterday and thought about that moment and laughed to myself still. It is so funny.
It's okay. So let me explain this because it probably doesn't sound as great. Okay, listen,
but it's so funny.
It was because wait, stop saying it's funny. Okay, because listen, this is why it came out that way. It was such a quick reaction from me, not Doug laughing at the Trayvon Martin incident at all.
No,
like, we were talking about hoodies and like everybody can wear a hoodie, everybody can like put on a hoodie and things like that. It was like he looked at me with all the confidence and said the word hoodie. I made the comment back to make him feel white guilt. And so that is why he started laughing. And that's what happened, everybody. Do not cancel Doug. Yes, that's just what happened. I knew that was going to sound
I'm not laughing at that incident. That incident is horrible.
But it was the white guilt.
This like not even 5 seconds. It was like 5 milliseconds.
It was like 0.5. It was like so quick.
Because I said it, and right when it left my mouth, I was like, nope, Doug, that's wrong. Like in my head. Yeah. And Marcus was like, you're right, it is. And I got you. Like,
that's exactly. It was very much a public I got you moment. Like, oh, I got you.
Yep. And Marcus had been like gate kept by me and then by another person who was attending this dinner. So he was. This was a good moment for him. So I'm very proud of him. So.
All right, let's
move on. Marcus,
you know it's bad, right?
News.
It's bad because Brian has not said anything. Not a boy howdy.
Not a boy howdy. Not a
he backed up from the microphone. He said,
"Not an oh my."
The 1/3 black of the 1/3 black owned part of this is not strong enough for us to survive that.
No, look, I appreciate that you shared that with me, and I'm glad you had a good time. Is what I'm saying.
In the episode right now. It did right now. Anyway, all right, moving on. So, gentlemen, I'm just gonna go for all of those that are listeners. I realize that we explained to you all what the images are on there, to be accessible to everybody, but also you should just come and hop into the live stream. We stream this for free every Monday on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch, and to other places in the future if need be. So I'm not going to do that this time. What I'm just going to give y'all a preface. Here's what I'm going to do. There's some images that came up online for different projects that are coming out. Some of these are leaks. Some of these are official stills and images from like Vanity Fair or images from the trailers that drop. I'm just showing the images so that we can just kind of see what you've seen or see what you know about them. But I will mention the projects that we're showing for those listening. All right. Is everybody ready?
I am ready.
All right, this is another image from James Gunn's Superman. It looks like a very first flight moment. What we have here is like David Cornsweet in his iconic Superman suit, looking good in the suit. The suit is growing on me significantly.
Yes.
And it is very much my adventures with Superman. That's exactly what the suit is. Like if you watch that show that is on Max and on Adult Swim, that's exactly what this suit is. It's like it's a perfect combination of New 52, Christopher Reeves. It's like everything. So this looks like a first flight moment in the streets. Also, attached to that, James Gunn, he's good at answering people's tweets and answering people's threads. They was like, oh, so basically all of the movie has gotten spoiled, right, with all the leaks from this week. And he says, no, I would never shoot major spoilers in an open city like that. And that's all he kind of said. So I think there's a lot more on the way. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, like, I feel like Gunn. I mean, I think he's right. Like, I think he knows this is part of the hype cycle now, right? Because I feel like anybody worth their comic book weight is gonna shoot any of this stuff in like a super high private studio. Like the final Tony Stark moment in Endgame was like literally 5 people in a black box
on lockdown.
Like, nobody knew they were there doing it. So. To me, this is part of the hype cycle. This is part of the advertising cycle now. So I think it looks great. The collar looks less pronounced now in that outfit.
Yeah,
so
they changed it.
Right. I'm wondering if it's 2 different outfits. I'm wondering if costume or Gunn himself was like, maybe the collar's not working. I don't know. I think the suit looks great. And I like that they're borrowing more elements from the later comics. I'm good doing the like he has trunks. I'm glad there is a defined midsection to Superman because that Henry Cavill suit, it just kind of looks like pajamas. Sometimes.
It does look like a little bit of a onesie.
Not the black suit one. Black suit one looks absolutely fire, but the other one,
not as pronounced. And like also whatever the fuck James Gunn got in this man's frontal part, I don't know if that's like a sock or if that's just Cornsweet himself. But Jesus Christ, dude, you got to tone this shit down. Like I know you're Superman, but fuck, we got wives and girlfriends out here and partners, and you got to relax, dude. Jesus Christ, you're in the streets of Cleveland, Ohio. And just poking out like that. Jeez, put that shit
this
away.
Is Ohio, is what Marcus is saying.
You know what my favorite?
I don't need to see your Man of Steel.
One of my favorite memes. That was funny, dude. Way funnier than the Trayvon thing. One of my favorite jokes.
Not to me.
One of my favorite jokes that I see is like it's the meme of the guy and the girl texting back and forth, and they say, he said, she says, I'm really in a bad state right now. And he says, oh, you're in Cleveland? Oh, you're in Ohio? You're in Ohio? So
that's hilarious.
All right, next image. Next 2 images. This is the new Hellboy. The Hellboy, the Crooked Man with Jack Casey playing Hellboy.
How I pronounced it.
That makes sense. Jack Casey playing it. I watched the trailer today. Was going to do a live reaction for you all, but it's kind of like a simple. It's a good trailer. I enjoyed it. It looks like more of a Hellboy take off of the comics, like the original Hellboy comics.
Yeah.
It looks like a more of a they're leaning into the horror vibe. Like they leaned into that 100%.
Like
There's a lot
type vibe in it.
Yeah, very much so. So I dig it. Like I was like, okay, all right, you got me. Like I like that. I really like what they're doing with it. It looks good.
Okay. I like what they're doing with Godzilla. I think there's a few characters that you can do this with, and Hellboy seems to be one of them. Well, you don't need Ron Perlman coming and playing like this only iteration. Maybe there's multiple.
Wait, didn't Dave? Am I hallucinating? Didn't David? What's his name from David Harbour?
Yes,
Red Guardian do Stranger Things do a Hellboy movie?
He did, and it kind of flopped.
Oh.
But his version
did not do well.
His version wouldn't. I didn't think it was a terrible movie like people made it seem.
Yeah,
but it just wasn't. It didn't get received well.
Oh, okay.
Which is too bad because Hellboy's an awesome character.
It is. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with Hellboy, and if you did it right, there's so many stories you can tell there leading up to Hellboy's big moment. All right, couple more images here. This one is ahead of the San Diego Comic-Con. It's on the flag banners. People have captured it, but they have put this all together in one. This is our teaser image for the Fantastic Four.
Love it.
Here you'll see the silhouettes and kind of very 60s-ish, 70s-ish by the hairstyle of Susan Storm. But you get the silhouettes of Reed Richards, of Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm, but as the Thing, kind of getting a hint of what the Thing will look like, which is a big question. I know a lot of people have been kind of asking and wondering because there's the rock pile of rocks or whatever the fuck that was in Fan-Tastic.
That didn't have square-tastic.
Yeah. No pants. He's just all rock. Just
man, what a movie!
Rock hard.
Just letting his boulders flap in the wind.
He's a man made of rock. He can do whatever. He can do what he wants.
Honestly, it's all just
just
a figment of your imagination. These last couple images are all from Gladiator via Vanity Fair. So the Gladiator 2 movie. So if you haven't seen these, this one is our very handsome Reed Richards. His name is slipping my mind.
Okay, I did not know Pedro Pascal was in Gladiator 2.
Yes.
There's holy buckets. He looks good.
Great image of them fighting and in action, which is the son of the original Gladiator. So here's another image. But one of my favorite images, I think, was the coldest one, and it's fucking Denzel Washington.
God damn.
In Gladiator 2, and he has a gold hoop earring. He's looking like an emperor of some sort. Badass motherfucker. I mean, that's just Denzel is. You can tell he's getting older, but fuck, man, he looked good.
He's owning that.
He's commanding that presence.
I'll be honest. I have been very skeptical of Gladiator 2.
Oh, 100%, Brian. Me too.
Announced. I don't really understand. I shouldn't say that. I understand how you can do a sequel, but like, I'm sitting here like any sequel is going to pale in comparison to the first one, but. Honestly, these images kind of have me excited, at least for the look and vibe of it. Because we haven't gotten a trailer for this, right?
No,
I don't think so.
No, which is really surprising considering how much they've shot. I think they're almost done. I think they put this out to reaffirm. They seem like some of these movies are going back to their old school ways, right? Of like the way that they do their marketing, the way that they release it in the magazines first. Like I'm starting to see that kind of come back to. And some leaks are also kind of going down a little bit too, right? Like more of the photo leaks. Like I don't see that as much, but maybe that was just because Marvel, and at some point Marvel was the only ones making projects as consistently.
I mean,
well, they had so many. Like there were so many of them.
Yeah,
if you think about it. Like there's just short of like when Fantastic Four shoots. Like there's just not going to be that much for them to.
But no Captain America. No, I didn't see. I haven't seen any leaks from that. Just the fact that there's a bunch of reshoots, but no.
I mean, I feel like the Cap set was a little porous though. Like, because I mean, but also at the same time, it's not entirely their fault because the schedule kept getting moved around, and then they've also kept some stuff quiet. Like I can't remember one of the characters that was going to be featured.
The more Jewish character. Like I don't remember his name.
Agent.
Yeah.
We're gonna get canceled.
I just got canceled. Sure. You all didn't hear it, but there was a sharp buzzing that happened in this year. It just went super high pitched, and I went, "Yep, okay, that's it. I'm canceled. That's it. That is someone saying and coming for me."
No. I'm gonna remember her name, Sabra, or whatever. Sabra. I can't remember her name, but
That's
she's
right.
like a mutant that works
Is an
for
Israeli superhero heroine.
Yes, she's a mutant that
Israeli
works
was
for
the
the
more correct term.
Israeli super secret intelligence or whatever.
Mhm.
She's quietly been exited from the project, and then McDonald's did their thing and basically acknowledged that Red Hulk is in this thing, even though they never said it. So it's like I kind of feel bad for that movie because the schedule's been messed up so bad. They also had to change the title because it was a white
Because it was a dog whistle.
white
Yep.
supremacist dog whistle. So like I don't know, some of that stuff I feel like we have got, but it's not entirely their fault from like leaks or photos, like photographers finding stuff.
Marcus, are you okay?
I changed my Chiron.
Oh, cancel that my black job. Yeah, it's not supposed to happen to you.
No.
But
Full circle.
you've heard.
When- when When one goes down, we all go down.
Well, hey, wait, he said he was going to protect the black jobs, right? I think
He's not doing a great job. And I'm not, first of all, I'm not trusting him to protect the black job. And what the fuck is a black job?
You just call the president and be like, I need you to protect.
What the fuck is a black job?
I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
that's insane.
Not me.
Not me.
Not
Not me. Not today.
Not me that knows.
Not me.
All right.
Brian, any other news that you have? Okay.
Nope. I did my double dunk on Paramount Plus. Godspeed to you all.
Okay. I have a quick. I forgot that I do have a quick news update.
What's your news?
I took the kids to see Inside Out 2.
Oh, nice.
It was very good.
Okay.
I will say this though. It's Disney. They did a good job. They captured someone who struggles with anxiety. Fuck, they fucking nailed it. Like they were like, you see you in the theater, I'm talking to you. I was like, oh shit. The problem is that like I feel like with some of these, that movie's just, I don't think it's necessarily a kids movie.
What?
I think it's a tween movie.
Oh, got it.
And I don't say that because she's supposed to be a teenager, like going into high school. Yeah. That's irrelevant. Like the problem is that there's so much nuance to the way that this is that it's really hard. Like kids do better with a black and white perspective, like a black and white structure. There's a good, there's a bad, there's a someone who's the one you're rooting for, the one that you're rooting against.
Of course. And
the feeling that at least my kids left this movie was like, oh, so anxiety is a bad feeling. And I was like, not exactly. I was like, not exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but not exactly. So like it fostered a conversation, which was really great. And I really appreciated it. But like, it was tough. It was tough because you want to have someone that's bad.
Right.
And it's just, there's a lot of nuance with that one. So yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. I've seen a lot of people talking about it. There was a woman who made a video, I think it was on TikTok, and apparently she had like an entire emotional experience, like because they in the movie, Doug, do they basically depict an anxiety attack?
They depict a panic attack. So
yeah.
So essentially, there's a moment, and spoiler alert, but you've seen it in the trailers and it's on videos.
Yeah,
the movie's been out for a few weeks, but and I won't get into the details. But you know, Riley is trying to get on to the hockey team, the high school hockey team, and at this point in time, anxiety has taken over and essentially has said like she's putting a lot of pressure on herself. Yeah, and she gets called for a foul and she has to go sit in the box. And that's when anxiety starts to sit. And what I think that they did really well visually is it spins around and around and around and around and around and around in a circle, because it's essentially nothing. She can't get herself to a point where there's anything productive she can do about it. So she sits there and sits and just, it starts. And then there's other things that happen that I won't share, but you can see that she's grabbing her chest. She's breathing really heavy. She's crying. And on the inside in headquarters, it is this orange world. Of just anxious energy. And so it's a lot. It's a lot. And but you know what? Fucking nailed it. Like they nailed,
that's impressive.
They nailed that entirely. I mean, they nailed the logic of it too, of like, you know, and what I think that they did is they did such fucking Disney. Like they did such a good job at the end of like coaching well, what can you do with your anxiety? And it's like, make it sit in its chair until you need it to do what it's designed to do. Don't let it get involved in the shit it doesn't need to be involved in. If you're worried about a test, that's great anxious energy because it motivates you to study. Not great when you're trying to like, trying to make decisions for the rest of your life. And so like, so it was very good and I enjoyed it. The kids enjoyed it, but there were some, conversations where we kind of had to been like, well, like, and so, which are hard. And those are hard. They're very, especially for a 5 and a 7-year-old. So I would say maybe a little bit older. I mean, younger kids will enjoy it, but I think probably 9, 10, 11-year-olds probably got a lot out of that.
For sure. And I think that also speaks to like where you go if you're making Inside Out a franchise. Like I think it makes sense to have these 5 basic emotions as you start out as a kid, but like as soon as you hit that 10, 11, 12-year-old stage, there's so much happening that I'm not surprised that kids under 10 would have a hard time grasping or grappling with, right? Because it's not happy or sad or disgusted or scared. It's like it's kind of more complicated, like anxiety or just you don't feel
anxiety,
like
envy, embarrassment, and ennui. I have questions about ennui. They printed ennui as like, oh, it's just boredom, but then they also made ennui sarcastic, and I was like, you kind of need to pick a couple lanes here because ennui is a very complicated French term of like ennui is like I have lack of purpose. Like that's what ennui is. And they're like, no, reduce it to the very most lowest. And you have to. But you're right, Brian. I mean, what are you gonna do? Like if you're making we know you're making a sequel. What are you gonna do? Put 15 of those fuckers in her head? Like, what are we like? What are we doing here?
I mean, it's kind of like Toy Story, right? Like Andy isn't really, he's the catalyst for how you get the toys and who has the toys, but he's not the main character to a certain extent. They even do it to so much where they give the toys away to like the neighbor kid or they Bonnie. Pick them up to Bonnie, right? And so like, I think if you have it where you can see either in her head, what I was telling Doug was when he gave the quick review at dinner, it seems like the movie is trying to age with
It definitely is,
right? And so it's like the next stage, if you get another stage, is that preteen era of what does that look like when she gets to high schools and start having feelings and like that kind of thing. There's so many things you can do with it, I think.
I mean, I think that's definitely a franchise that can grow with its audience, like how Star Wars and I'm to some extent Marvel has done, right? Like I think doing a college Riley makes 100% sense. I feel like
you'll have an audience for it, right?
You'll have an audience for it, and there are a lot of feelings that are coming up in your 20 or like when you're, I don't know, a young adult is maybe the term we'll use. That are going to be relatable, and I don't know how it would do as a kids movie, but I do feel like if they do another one, I feel like I mean, they did it with Andy in Toy Story. If they can do it with Toy Story, they can do it with Inside Out for sure.
They very much can, very, very much can. So, but that's all I have. But gentlemen, we had our Patty family pick a movie, and they picked 2000's American Psycho.
Hell yeah.
Marcus, you care to give us a barbershop summary?
I can try. Oh God. Okay. There. All right. What had happened was I just watched this movie 3 hours ago. All right. What had happened was there's a handsome guy, right? And he is very meticulous. Say something else there. He is fixated with certain things. And I'm not sure if it's a mental, I'm not sure what it is, if it's just his own fixation or was there something tied to it. Anyway, he has a fixation. He has to do everything a certain way. He has a certain body wash that he uses. He has a certain regimen that he follows. He says there's certain things that he does on a regular basis. He's in this big company, not sure what the company did. It stocks, not really sure. They never really explained it. It was just a
mergers and acquisitions.
Right? Yeah, for sure. Right. Like all of them were vice presidents. All of them had the same title, no specific areas, like when they put their cards on the table, literally. And so there's this guy, he's going around, he's pretending to be something during the day, but at night he has, not even just at night, he's having these underlying issues or he's in this certain mental state, or he's having this breakdown, and he talks about this hunger that he can no longer like feed, that it's getting worse. And so he's essentially killing people. So he's killing women, he's killing men, he's like, we think, right? There goes through this whole movie of like the different ways he kills people, or the ways he goes about it. He has a porn addiction, he has a sex addiction, he has all of these things that you see in big greedy green money world, right? You have these big wigs that live at the top, and they have these vices that they live by. He seems to be struggling with all of the vices that you can think of in the 90s and the 2000s: escorts, drugs, money, greed. Yep. He says all of these things that he's kind of fixated with. And he has a type. He's very specific about the women that he murders, or the people that he kills, or the way that he goes about it. He is also seeking attention. So like he's having this crisis, and it seems like as he's killing people, he also wants the attention for killing the people, maybe a little bit, but like I'm not really sure what the fuck going on, but that's basically the movie.
Yeah. No,
that's it. Yeah, you nailed it.
I just realized how ambiguous some of the things in this movie is, and I feel like it's on purpose, but we can talk about that later.
It is. I mean, you're very much correct. Like they are leaving the specifics out on purpose.
Yeah,
the director's definitely leaving that stuff out. So I want to run down cast for you all. So Christian Bale plays Patrick Batemen. Justin Theroux plays Timothy Bryce. Josh Lucas plays Craig McDermott. Now, I want you all to know that these are very young versions of these three dudes. Like Josh Lucas has been in a ton of stuff. Like Justin Theroux has been in a ton of stuff. Chloe Sevigny plays Jean. Reese Witherspoon plays Evelyn Williams.
Unreal.
Samantha Mathis is in this as well. She plays Courtney Rollison. Fucking my man Jared Leto is in this. Morbius himself is in this.
I could not figure out who he was.
He plays Paul Allen. Yep. He plays Paul Allen. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then Willem Dafoe is in this. He plays Donald Kimball. He's the cop. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, those are the big ones. Yeah. I was like, is there anything else I need to know about those?
There's a couple. Yeah, there's a lot of sleepers in this.
Yes. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah. Gentlemen, thoughts on now? Quick table setter. This was picked by the Patty family. Both Brian and I have seen this before, but Marcus, this was your first viewing of American Psycho. Yeah. So I'm actually gonna, not to put you on the spot or to lead with you, but Marcus, how did you feel? Like, what was your thought? Like, first impressions?
I think first impression is like, I see why this movie did so well, or why it's like so well received, right? Mm-hmm. One, I love Christian Bale, and there was two primary thoughts I could think of the entire time I was watching this. I was like, this makes me want to watch Equilibrium. And then the other thought was, I can't believe this is fucking Batman. Like those were the only two thoughts that I had, but in a way it kind of makes sense. Mm-hmm. Christian Bale is just one of those guys. I think that's the bottom line. He probably needs more recognition. But I couldn't see anybody else playing this role. So I think, number one, I was like, you had a great selection of a person to play this role and go fucking mad. I see why this was really successful. Have no idea what the accolades were for it, if it won any awards or anything, but it's definitely like a classic, like to me.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that people who love movies love to have like in their top 10 for a lot of folks. And it's because of some of those things like what you were saying, Marcus, the way you outline them, of like the ambiguous nature, how can it be applied to everything? So I completely agree. I'm looking up the awards that maybe it won.
Well, then I can jump in really quick. I think
you should do that.
I watched this in 2005-ish, and I feel like it reached cult status at that point, because I don't think it was a commercial success. I'm going to wait for verification on that. And when I was in undergrad, like this was the movie where it was like, oh, you want to see a movie? You watch American Psycho. Like that was just kind of the vibe I had. It was like this, and like, man, there are a few others I'll think about in a second, but and when I watched it back then, I did not have the critical eye I do now. Like I was just like, oh, this guy's killing people. Are you seeing this? Like that was all I could take
Mhm.
in with my tiny 20-year-old brain, right? Like I was like, this guy, look how much he's killing him.
Your 20-year-old voice is crazy.
Brian's also, he doesn't like to talk about this a lot, but he used to be Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was 20 years old.
Yeah, I watched the movie.
It's crazy. There's all these things.
I like to pump you up. Anyway, the point being, Marcus is rubbing his face. What is he doing with these two white guys?
No. It's also me. It's me. I'm a part of this. It's me.
I'm a part of you're a third responsible.
You are 1/3 responsible for that voice.
I mean, it does kind of get this Inception. I feel like Inception executed on this like concept of like what is actually happening here far better, but it feels like American Psycho and Memento like put the seeds there to be like, no, like what if it was like this? Kind of Fight Club, kind of not. I feel like the movie's overrated. We can have that conversation later, but like
Fight Club?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
I think it's overrated. I think a lot of people talk about it like it's this top tier thing, and I feel like it's like a little bit mid-range. But in the context of American Psycho, I feel like it doesn't hold your hand, which I appreciate, especially at this point.
Yeah. So the budget for American Psycho was $7 million estimated. So $7 million back in the day.
Whoa.
Gross was 15 million, give or take.
Oh,
its opening weekend was 4. Call it 5. It was 4.9. And then its worldwide was $34 million. So it wasn't a smash. It didn't blow up, but it made its money back. Like
somebody got a good bonus.
Yeah, for sure.
And bought a house.
Yeah. I guess for me, how do y'all receive this movie? Like, what stands out to you about it? If it's supposed to be a movie, like a movie lover's movie, right? Let's assume it's like a top 5. What about it stands out? I do feel like there were some things that were missing in this, though. It felt like incomplete to a certain extent to me.
I'll say what I really appreciated is I think this is a great example of acting, just because of the wide range of emotions that have to be brought to the character that Christian Bale is playing, because he is both like aware of his own madness, but also simultaneously incredulous to what's happening. Like I know this is in me. I know it's something I'm doing, but goddamn, I don't know why, but I have to do it. Like and so that as like a character study of someone being able to literally put on that sort of like skin and be that person, that was a bad choice.
No, I mean, it's phonetically correct.
But to be like, but to really like jump into that character, it's impressive. Like it's really, really impressive. I also think as far as a commentary on 80s Wall Street greed, I think it's pretty interesting too. Like, just like to Marcus, you kind of brought it up in your intro, like, do the rich just get away with this? Like with the way, I'm not going to jump to the ending. We're going to save it, but do the rich just get away with it? Does it just go away because no one ever suspects that they would be the one to do it? So like, there's that side of it too. So those two pieces for me make it something that I love to watch.
Is this the part where we get into our sing, or are we like are we waiting?
I want to say one more thing before we start jumping around the board.
That's swords, by the way.
Oh, I thought we were fighting.
Swashbuckling. Yes. On guard.
You thought it was a what?
The one thing I think that also makes this a movie is that Christian Bale is so flippin' dialed in to this character.
Yes.
And I'm not saying it because of the intensity in like that opening montage when he's like exercising in his tidy whities. Great piece, by the way. Like you see the intensity of the character. However, it's the range of it in the singular film. You see him go from like confident to fearful to like he is like voracious with hunger to kill someone. He's disgusted, but he also is happy, but he's also bored. He goes through this entire range. Like the first murder, Like he's moonwalking,
Mhm.
but he's like
Mhm.
excited to kill this guy, but
Huey Lewis in the
also
news.
Huey Lewis in the news is probably their best like that entire, I mean, right, that's probably the monologue some people did for
Yeah.
ages,
Yeah.
right? That entire monologue of talking about Huey Lewis as you're about to kill somebody. It's just the range, and he doesn't overdo it. And I know that's like a compliment I give to a lot of folks of projects we watch on this podcast, but I feel like Christian Bale rode that edge. And I feel like it's
Mhm.
really hard to do that in a film like this because you picture any other actor doing this and they're gonna overdo it, right? Like the movie's called American Psycho.
Mhm.
You can picture somebody just taking it way too much and making it not unbelievable, but laughable or not connecting. And I think the one thing I wanted to say before we started swashbuckling was like, I think that's what elevates Christian Bale here. Like
Oh,
that's,
100%.
and it's beyond him doing flipping 500 sit-ups or whatever to be Patrick Bateman.
1,000
or 1,000, right? Like
Mhm.
and he did
I don't
part
know
of
why
the
I
workout
remember.
regimen too, by the way, according to the sources on set.
I would believe 100% of that.
Right? Like it's not the method, it's his portrayal and not knowing where that edge is, right? A lot of us don't know where to stop the joke. Christian Bale is so sharp when it comes to movies of like, nope, this is exactly what you need for my performance, and I'm moving on.
I'm going to give you
Doug
exactly what the
and I.
performance calls for.
Yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think you're right, Brian. I think some folks would lean into the like, yeah, take it there and be depraved. And those moments where they're unhinged would be almost like either comical, where they lose that sense of like, oh no, like,
Oh yeah.
like, and it would be too much of a slasher film. And this
I
is
mean,
this is booked as a horror movie, like because
Yeah.
of what happens. But it would just be too much. So
well, and according to Collider, they auditioned Brad Pitt, Edward Norton, and Leonardo DiCaprio for
that's
this
not
role.
the Brad Pitt and Edward Norton are not surprising because
Leo makes sense too.
Because those two in particular, because Fight Club came out in 99 and this came out in 2000.
Yeah, great
So they were
point.
trying to ride the snake of like, these two are really
Yes.
hot and popular. So
And they were in a similar vibe of a movie.
they were in a similar like down with corporate establishment kind of movie.
Right. And I feel like I feel like Brad Pitt would have overdone it to an incredible extent. Like I love Brad Pitt, but I don't see the nuance there.
I couldn't imagine him in this movie.
Right.
You know what? I could if you had me not 99 2000s Brad Pitt. Give me him with a little bit more like dirt on him a little bit, like when he grows a little bit. I think
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, like give me
Mr. and
that
Mrs.
Brad.
Smith even.
Yeah, that one.
I
That
feel
one
like
is
you
like
could probably do it.
because there's this monotoneness to Patrick Bateman or Christian Bale that is like, is this dude feels like a psychopath. Even what I enjoy about this movie, right, is the way he tries to hide it. Okay.
Yes.
And it's like you can tell it feels fake by the comments he's making. You know, he's talking with his guys and he's trying to be this what they would call now woke, right? And it's like, oh yeah, because when his partners say, oh yeah, I forgot that Bateman's dating a girl, a chick from the ACLU.
That's right.
And because he says all of these very more liberal statements in these very conservative, rich, hoity-toity type rooms. So he's trying to make himself what it felt like to me. Is he was trying to make himself seem more deep or exciting, even when he was like trying to do these monologues about music. And at one point, he does like 2 whole monologues about it. And then the one scene he starts talking about Whitney Houston, and the girl's like, "You own a fucking Whitney Houston CD?" And it kind of it seemed like it threw him off because he wasn't able to like elaborate himself into the knowledge of like, this is who I am and what I know. It felt like he was trying to fake and put on some type of front. And if that wasn't enough, the killing, you know, they say about murder, like murderers, like serial killers want to be found, or they kind of want to be known for their thing that they do.
They want the fame of it all.
Yeah, like and so that's kind of what it felt like to me.
Yeah, I would say I think the other thing is that for me, I interpreted that just a smidgen differently. That that's the way in which that he lured that's the way in which he lured folks in. So like it wasn't that he wanted to necessarily be found. It's just he was always, because he was always trying to find another way to lure someone in to give in to his deepest, darkest desire.
Can we swashbuckle here? Because I
Yes.
disagree.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So I think sing. And so I disagree because there was something about these moments that happened of him in the bathroom with the other guy who thinks he wants to be in a relationship or that they're attracted to each other, or the moments that they literally put their business cards on the table. Thanks, swashbuckle alert.
Yeah,
Or the
no problem.
moments that they put their business cards on the table and he's able to notice the tiniest hues and being bested by one each time, and then the last guy brings in another card and it throws him for a fucking loop, right? And so it's like, to me, he feels like he's Mr. Top Shit and has to portray this certain thing.
Yeah.
I think that's him legitimately trying to portray this certain thing. And he was willing to kill anybody that, like, why did he kill Jared Leto? Also, I have an additional comment that I think Jared Leto's method acting may stem from being a fan of Christian Bale.
Yeah.
More than likely, yes.
Because it was like they were at the table, and it's like, for me, I saw these two motherfuckers looking at each other and Jared Leto being like, I want to do that. So all of this method acting, being on set,
I want to be that when I grow up.
Yeah, like, which is fair. Like, you watch this guy and they have the same mannerisms, that same dry, like that monotone. Like, if you were to do it today, Jared Leto might be the person that you kind of would imagine play that role if he had better movie selections like previous. If he didn't have like a Morbius under his belt, or like, but Dallas Buyers Club is like a good, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I was seeing there. Sorry, I'm rambling, but that's not my thought process.
No,
I'm going to parry that disagreement.
I don't know these phrases, so I'm just going to stick with swashbuckling.
They're swashbuckling terms. So I'm going to parry that and say that it's probably actually a combination of both, really. And that's not so much a parry as so much it is like a kind of bridging the gap, because I think you're onto something. I think the idea that I always thought about, at least as far as this movie is concerned, and almost the statement that the movie's trying to make, is this idea of Patrick Bateman feels like he has to kill anytime he is one-upped or he feels inferior in his job in an effort to claim the power that was taken from him back.
I agree.
And he enacts that on the only group of people that he can, which is people who can see him as are lower than him in the knowledge that he has, in the money that he has, in the music he listens to, in the car that he drives. Like, all of those things are the things that for him are like, he's able to lure that over them before he inevitably, I think we look at them as we might be saying the same thing.
I think we accidentally tangled swords there, because that's exactly what I was trying to say. Oh, that sounds weird. Tangled.
I mean, anytime, man. If I have to tangle him with anybody,
honestly, it would be my guy. Huh?
Yep.
Tip to screen. What did you say?
It's crossing the stream.
Yeah. But what I think the movie's always trying to say is that movie that
I was going with a Ghostbusters reference, but might be more leaning towards Spaceballs.
Tip to screen. I'm sorry. That was
that's a different podcast.
That's a different podcast. That's a different
only
one.
fans in black and white. Sorry.
Yeesh. So, but I think what it's trying to say, especially with that, like, that card scene.
This is what happens when we think we're really smart and you meet a smart person. So it's just minting, swashbuckling, and fencing. Yes, Mason, we are only we don't really know what you're talking about. We're here for your entertainment.
But I think because of what they're doing with that, like that card scene, and any other time there's that like comparison about jobs or title or who they're dating, so they're trying to say like, this is phony baloney bullshit that only exists in corporate. So how many other of these folks are being created, or how many of these folks have these deep, dark secrets that we don't know about because they're trying to one-up Rick, who has bone, versus the other one.
The American part of American Psycho, not so much the Psycho, but it's the American part.
And it's Doug, to underline your point, you never see Patrick Bateman work. No. You never see him take a meeting. You never even see him look at a spreadsheet or anything. On top of that, nothing, like, even when he's at home, nothing is like geared towards like, the only thing of self-improvement, right, is his workout regimen. Other than that, he has no hobbies.
Which is about the look still.
It's
still about the facade.
About this vibe, right? And like, even the music, he's like, oh, you know about this, but I know more. But it's like, do you actually enjoy the music, and they kind of touch on it when he's in the limo with Reese Witherspoon, but it also feels like the only reason he's doing that is so he doesn't have to listen to Reese Witherspoon talk about
100%.
Because he
their
says that.
engagement.
Yep. He said,
right?
but also Reese Witherspoon mentions in the limo that he keeps talking about the job. I got to work my way up in the company. I got to work my way. She said, your dad owns the company. So basically, you don't have to do anything.
Yes. Like,
Yeah.
and I feel like all those things underscore this like American kind of bootstraps paradox thing of just like, I'm Patrick Bateman and I'm better than you. And here's like his fiance being like, your dad owns the company. You're a vice president of what exactly you don't even know. You as a viewer, you have no idea what he's vice president of. And by the way, all of his friends also vice president. What the hell do they do?
Nothing. Right.
Right. Of nothing. And then even when they ask him about his job, it's not even something he enjoys because they're all like, anyone I know in mergers and acquisitions hates it.
Willem Dafoe walks in the room, right? And Willem Dafoe plays the detective.
Right.
He walks in to question Bateman, and Bateman pretends to answer the phone, and he starts talking about randomly tipping the server. Make sure you tip the server. Make sure you do this. Make sure you get this suit and wear that with this. To almost make it seem like he was doing not almost, but to make it seem like he was having a big conversation, or to throw off the detective, or to seem like some big wig, not like you weren't just sitting at your fucking desk telling your secretary to cancel every
doing the crossword.
No answer, just say no.
And Marcus, to your point, Willem Dafoe says back, he goes, you must be very busy. He's always apologizing. He's like, you must be very busy. You must have things that are going on. That sounded like an important call. Like he's always sort of groveling over this, like, oh, please, Mr. Bateman, let me ask you some questions. And I'm so sorry to interrupt, when he's investigating a fucking like a disappearance of a coworker. So,
but it's the power move.
Yes.
It's exactly what I think all three of us are saying.
Yeah.
It's the power move of being like, I got to show myself as talking about. Now, a lot of people do this today. This is my soapbox.
Yes.
The movie pissed me off. No source tangled here at this podcast.
No, we're touching tips at this point, Mason.
Yep.
So tips of the swords.
Tip. Yep.
Tip cheerio.
Cheerio.
Tip cheerio.
Oh man, Brian's in my corner sometimes, and it's great when he is.
Oh, it's so fantastic because it's the one line that always gets you. Tip touchers anonymous. So I feel like I forgot what I was saying. Doesn't matter.
No, no. I'm gonna set you back up because I'm gonna agree with you about talking about how people do this today.
Oh, thank you. Here's the thing about today. People lead with fluff. Okay, people with PhDs, people with high positions, people with high titles, a lot of people in roles that they shouldn't be in. They may be fantastic. I've been trying to do better at separating person from the job, but sometimes it gets very hard. Sometimes you have really nice people in positions that they're not supposed to be in. Or 100%. Sometimes you have like really bad positions and good people in them, and it's not sustainable. Both things can be true. The bottom line for me is there's a lot of motherfuckers that just talk with fluff like they big and bad and know what the fuck they talking about. And there's so many people that put a lot of extra jargon, or I have to catch myself from trying to use big words when I'm really just trying to say fuck off. Like I don't want to say cheerio. Like I don't want to say any of that shit. I would just want to say fuck off and stop getting on my nerves. But there's a lot of people that are Bateman. They are Patrick Batemans. They fake that, maybe not the killing part necessarily, but they will kill or step over anybody to get what the fuck they want and be in positions that they feel like they deserve to be in.
The best phrase I ever heard comes from Dr. Peggy Crow. She works at Western Kentucky University, and she said this, and I've never forgotten it. Why are you using a 50-cent word when a nickel word will suffice? Like that shit sticks with me all the time. And you're right, Marcus. It's really easy to get down that road and you say, you know, we've got different like situations when you're like, no, here's a thing that happened. Like let's be real. Like
let's be
we don't need to talk about an inflection point. We need to be like, no, that's where we turned it around. Like you don't need to make this harder than it has to be.
Because that's what the whole part of this movie was for me, was like, one, okay, this is me. The only black guy in this was the one you killed in the alleyway. It was poor Al.
I immediately thought,
And there is nobody and maybe that's part of the movie. Maybe it's because it was the 90s and 2000s, and that's kind of what the vibe was on sets. But like, there is no black person that is in the same caliber or in the same conversations anywhere in the smoking rooms, the gentleman clubs, the parties,
Nowhere.
the clubs that they're at. Even when there's an ugly woman, he calls her, "You ugly bitch, I want to skin your skin and I want to blah, 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 and I want to make you watch you bleed." He says that to her. He picked the, I think when he picked up the escort, he might have called her ugly too. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think the moment you're talking about is like in the first 10 minutes of the movie when they go to
at the bar, right? At
and
the club.
She's annoyed with him for some reason. And he talks about like, I want to play with your blood. And you're like, oh no.
Yeah. Because they are trying to have that like that moment from Fight Club where he's looking in the mirror and saying certain things, and which is kind of hard to differentiate when you're watching the movie for the first time of like, oh, okay, I see that that's a thing. But yeah, that's just my whole thing was like, if you watch this for the first time, there's a lot of Patrick Batemans in the world. There's a lot of Patrick Bateman friends in the world. Because even in the groups that he in, the only thing they give a fuck about is making reservations, talking down on women. Oh, the sexiest thing a woman can do is be so much of a freak that she wants to have sex anytime, but also not enough that she's like too sexy for everybody else and knows when to shut her damn mouth. And it was these are normal conversations that happen in these spaces.
Wasn't the lady, and maybe I'm misremembering this, but wasn't the lady, so he tries to feed a cat to the ATM, which by the way, for some reason is
I wanted a screenshot.
I thought he put a gun to the cat.
He did.
No. He goes to the ATM to get money for escorts, I would assume. And there's a kitten, and he looks up at the ATM, and the ATM says, "Feed me a stray cat." And so he tries to shove the cat into the ATM, and this woman comes up, and I feel like it was a black lady who came up and was like, no, and he turns around and shoots her.
She was white.
That was white.
She said, no, what are you doing? Stop doing that. And then turned around real quick and shot her.
And remember, when he shoots her without knowing who she is or feeling that sense of like power or, lording over her, he feels guilty. That's what sets him down this path of like, I want to get caught. Like, feed me a stray cat.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I missed that whole thing.
Oh, that was that. So this okay. So I would like us to have a conversation about this sequence because the moment he goes to the ATM and it says "feed me a stray cat," I was like, oh, like, okay, like we're in his world, we're in his vision of seeing stuff because there's no ATM that would tell you to feed it a stray cat. I'm very confident.
Not any that we would go to.
And upon reflection, like this to me is a moment where like you see Bateman break with reality to me because like it's almost like what he wants to do or what he wanted to do. I don't know if anything that happened between this moment and then when he calls the lawyer,
all of that was
confessing. I don't know if any of that happened in real life.
Right.
And I remember watching this when I was 20 and thinking all that did happen, but now watching it after being on this pod, I'm like, oh, was that all in his head that he exploded a police car and killed an officer and killed the same, it was like the same reception attendant. It's like he does the movie has you go through the same sequence twice and he shoots one guy, but he doesn't shoot the other. Anyway, how did you all feel about that sequence? What's your interpretation?
I think that before that, I want to talk about a little bit before that.
Do it.
The scene for me that showed that it was real. What was real was him beating on the escorts. And I think, now I could be overthinking, but the two escorts, as they're leaving, they have bloody noses, they got bloody faces. I think that that's the worst that he was doing was like beating on these escorts. Because if it is a message about these higher big wigs, greedy fuckers that run these companies and stuff like that, and the lower than, and then him preying on people that will feel less than in his presence. To me, it was like, oh yeah, he did that. He made the escorts do whatever the fuck he said. Then he beat them, right? As that was the other part of the evening. And then he paid them and then made them leave. Like, to me, that was real. But that was the extent of maybe what his madness was actually happening was maybe putting hands on these women outside of the sex addiction and all that other stuff, right?
Sure.
After, I agree, once you hit to feed me a stray cat, that was the sign that this thing is kicking off something crazy. And then once he's off of the phone, I think he had a night where he just lost his shit.
Yeah.
And it's not real until he gets back to I keep calling it a gentleman's club, but like the smokers, wherever the expensive
an executives club
place they were. Yeah, an executives club. Thank you. Like that was real because that's when he started talking to the lawyer and the lawyer's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Funny joke, Bateman.
Yeah,
Oh
he
my
said
gosh.
Bateman's a loser. Now I don't know if it was real that he called Bateman a loser, or am I confused?
mean-
What was Christian Bale's name in this?
No,
Patrick
you're right, Bateman. But it's
But-
also confusing because they mistake him for other characters in the film.
Right.
Once Paul Allen goes missing, they keep getting Paul Allen and Patrick Bateman confused. At one point in time,
Well,
he sits down for a meal
Mhm.
with a woman who
Mhm.
thinks he's Paul Allen. Like, and so
Because he's
Mhm.
telling
right,
him to call him that, right?
right, exactly. So it's very confusing because
Yeah.
again, Paul Allen had the better business card.
Mhm.
And so that at that point in time,
Yeah.
Patrick's like, no, he's better than me. I'm gonna kill
I'm
him.
Paul
And I'm gonna
Allen.
take him. I'm gonna take everything, his name, the only thing that has any worth, which is his name, which is Paul
So
Allen.
is Patrick Bateman
Oh.
because his lawyer says that's impossible. Patrick Bateman is a loser, and or is he talking to Christian Bale? But why would your lawyer call you a loser?
Because you just confessed to having a vice. I don't know.
No, but the lawyer said that it wasn't true because I just had dinner with Paul in London 2 nights ago.
So I took that two different ways, and that was the part of the movie, like right before it ended. That was like the 1-2 punch of like, oh, this is cinema. Because it's like you can take it either way, right? You can take it one way where he's a good lawyer and he's gonna know that
Mhm.
if he admits to literally anything that he's saying, it's game
Mhm.
over. He's guilty, right? But if he says like, "No, I saw that guy you killed.
Mhm.
He's alive. Have a good day."
Mhm.
Like that feels like a lawyer trick to me. Like a lawyer Jedi mind trick. No, I saw him. I had
That's
dinner.
legalese. No. I had dinner with him yesterday.
Yeah.
I have a receipt.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other is like Bateman literally has no idea what's real and what's not. And Paul Allen is indeed alive and none of it happened.
Never went back to his place. Never
None of that
did
ever
any of
happened.
that. He just imagined it after
Like-
that dinner.
The best reveal of it was all a dream.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was all a dream. B.I.G.
Yeah.
Big I.G. Big.
I mean, I don't know. I for me, I feel like it's the lawyer being like, do not confess to a murder in a public place, you bozo. That's what I
Yeah.
feel like it is.
I think it's the opposite. If I'm
I
swapping
also
lawyers.
thought
Really?
I also
Yeah.
think I think it's playing the other one you said, Brian, where he's like he can't tell what's real or what isn't.
Yeah.
Oh
What's
man.
he can't
Because-
separate the fantasy from the reality.
because your
Yeah.
lawyer calling Patrick Bateman a loser, and then the other part about listen, he says, listen, you're freaking me out now because
Oh
and
yeah.
I don't think that this is funny because I had dinner with him 2 nights ago in London. I think that was a real statement of
Mhm.
like when
Oh,
he
man.
laughed at him on the phone and was like, dog, that's not like that was fucking hilarious, dog. Like, how did you do that? Blah 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 blah. Like, and maybe he did actually call him a loser because he's saying, listen, dog, you would never be able to do no shit like that because in reality, not the
Yeah.
one you try to put on, you're a loser.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you would never be able to do no shit like kill somebody. Like, who do you think you are? Now get your hands off me and I'm walking away. So I think
Right.
it was the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fascinating. I feel like I mean
Because
yeah.
because at the end he says he sits down and he cannot tell the difference. He says, I have this insatiable there's something that I can't feed or fix. I can't feel anything. I'm losing my grip with humanity. Like I'm using my grip with reality, humanity. I do feel something or I don't feel something, blah, 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 blah. I think that was his reality. Like he could go down that path. This is him pre-snap. And then he snaps.
Mm.
Oh, that's fascinating.
That was just how I read it though.
I mean, then okay, so then are we thinking everything that happened in Paul Allen's apartment, the 2 murders that occur there, and basically what he's keeping as his like kill shed, did that ever happen?
It didn't happen because when he walks in the apartment, to me, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because when he walks in the apartment, the lady says, "Who are you?"
Right.
He's looking for the 2 dead bodies that were hung up in in the closet.
Yeah.
And he's looking at her and he's like, where I found this apartment in the Times, and she was like, yes, you need to leave. I don't know who you are, but you need to leave. Because I was also wondering, how do you chase somebody down a hallway with a chainsaw and tennis shoes and nobody else in the fucking apartment hears anything?
Well,
I've always asked that question. every time I watch that, I'm like, where do they live?
But
Like,
I don't think that. I think it's in his head, so
Yeah.
it never actually happened.
It's a really good case for it because so everyone's gonna learn something about me. During that sequence, it is really intense that he's chasing the woman through the hallway.
Mhm.
And it's really intense. But then I started laughing because he's wearing sneakers with a chainsaw
That's
naked.
it, ass naked.
And I'm just like, I probably shouldn't be laughing at this. And that makes me want to laugh more.
Yeah.
And then they
I
get
get
to the staircase, and like my emotional level goes back down to like, lady, you need to run. Like
Mhm.
I don't know if you're gonna make it. It's a movie, right?
mhm.
But like, I'm running for my life in that situation. And then he throws the chainsaw, and I'm like, what are we doing here?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
and then it hits her, and I did start laughing because I'm like, that's so improbable. Like,
Mhm.
Christian Bale just killed this lady on screen, and I'm laughing about it. You're laughing about it. But it's when this movie kind of toes the line of like, that is so sinister, and like, this is comedy. Like,
Mhm.
this is so improbable. How would you even hit someone with a chainsaw 13 floors down? There's no way that could happen.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Unless he
So-
thinks he's the most, because this is what I got from the police, like the
Unless
police
he-
shootout.
Yeah.
He thinks he's the most phenomenal killer and most exquisite
Oh, I
killer
didn't-
in the fucking world. Because at some point he's shooting at the cops, he makes the car
Yup.
blow up and looks at his gun like, how the
Yup.
fuck did I do that? And he's got impeccable aim because when the guy
Yeah.
comes out of the janitorial, like he comes
That's
out of the elevator,
right.
he turns around and nails that motherfucker from the door and kills him dead. I said, oh, this guy thinks he is like the most
Oh, that's a
well
good
thought out
point.
fucking killer. And I think that's the whole movie is he thinks he's the fucking best. The
I will
only
say
time I
that-
think it was real that he got close, I'm sorry, I'm
No, go
talking
ahead.
a lot, but it was like the nail gun with his secretary. I think that
Wow,
was
what a great
real,
scene.
right? I think that was very, very real, and he didn't pull the
Yes.
trigger. But
Yes.
that would have been the night that he would, because he says, I'm afraid that if you stay, I won't be able to control myself, and something like I'm going to hurt you. I
Yes.
think that was him almost snapping. Like that was like him. Like he would have. That would have been his first kill.
Yeah. So let me introduce two snafus into this from
Do
a
it.
Screen Rant article. The
Mother-
first is Mary Herron was the person who directed the movie.
Yeah, amazing
And
director. By the way.
This
Love it.
line from Screen Rant says, while director Mary Herron has adamantly refused that the American Psycho ending explained the movie as being all in Patrick Bateman's head, there's enough ambiguity behind the events of the story to suggest otherwise. So she has never, and she has refused to say, well, all of it was in his head.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
there's elements that are there. The
Mhm.
other theory is that, and this one I liked and I was kind of curious about, Patrick Bateman's killing of Jared Leto's Alan in American Psycho ending explained that it could be real since he ruined the career, livelihood, and life of a rival, and only Bateman's conscience was clear enough to see that this was a monstrous act, while everybody else was saying it was just good business.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, yeah, I can see.
So maybe
it.
that's part of it too. So like, there's this is like going to be one of those things that's
It's like Inception.
yes, it's going to be speculated on and explained for a long time. I'll share a link to that.
I like the
Screen Rant article.
allegory though.
Yeah, I do too. Oh my
And
God.
I think it's accurate for that world of like it's a dog eat dog world, and
I
it's
mean,
just
and
Mhm.
I like that even more with the allegory and metaphor of just like the corporate world and like you have to kill your competition and like
Yeah.
that's the only way you
We're
can
the tip
get
of the
ahead.
spear.
Right? Or like we need the boots on the ground, right? Like it's like we're not in the military, like we're having a Zoom meeting.
tips.
And I like that a lot because it's so unnecessary, like in so much corpo lingo of just like we need to deploy this and we need to be on the up and up with this. No daylight in between. Like it feels like you're a hell diver, fighting bugs in that game. And it's not
I know
it's
that.
just
I know that reference.
yeah, like it's just, hey, can you just send an email? Do we have enough people on the project? Do you think we can get it done in time? Like, and instead we use all these military terms. We use all these like life or death type situations. And it's like this movie is just such a good metaphor of just like, this is like what you're thinking it is, but like literally all these guys do is nothing. And they sit around talking about where they can get reservations and they do nothing. They contribute nothing. they don't provide anything. They're just they're there. Who's the psycho? Yeah, it's just
all of them because they normalized what the fuck was going on.
I mean, pretty much.
I mean, that's just how my viewpoint was. You got a bunch of rich, hoity-toity, everything that Brian has said, everything that Doug has said. Whether all of it some of it did happen because you have to have some of that based in what he thinks is the reality. I think that the killings are over exaggerations, but it also is about this insatiable greed and this desire for more, and also this position of power to know I can do it and get away with it. Because when he stabbed the homeless person, he shot the lady, he killed all these people. He didn't really do any cleaning up. He just walked into the other building, signed the fucking sign up thing, and just went in the elevator, and everything was fine because he got home. Like, that's a different position of like power to say, well, all I got to do is shoot everybody who I thought.
I could see Paul Allen being the first and only murder that was real, but it was the murder that convinced him that he could get away with it. Like, if he could kill powerful, up and coming, future ahead of him Paul Allen, then he could kill a couple of like hookers, and then he could kill a random homeless person and get away with it, and because he's that good. So I could see in some version of this, the explained of like the murder of Paul Allen is real. The rest of it is just the depravity and insanity of his own mind that he's managed to convince himself that he could do. And that plays out in some sort of fantasy.
Yeah.
I can see that too.
Yeah.
I think it's a good movie. Like,
yeah. I also want to say that I feel like a lot of movies that we see, we do critique like, hey, these sex scenes, I don't really know if they're needed. I'm not really sure what they add.
I was thinking that same thing.
But this movie is like the one in recent memory where I'm like, no, you need this. And you need to see it because not because of like the depravity, but like it's directly feeding Bateman's character. And I think, and I know this has been commented on before, but I feel like the thesis of that is when Bateman is like only looking at himself during the act.
He has mirrors where
my favorite meme.
What's the good pointing at him? Yes.
He's just pointing at himself. Like he's not looking
placement for a mirror
at the people he's trying to be with. He's only looking at himself.
Yeah.
Like that's not normal behavior.
Well, sometimes that's why they got glass mirrors on the ceilings in some places. You know what I mean? Like you get sometimes
I want to Photoshop you with the finger point. Now that's what I and he's doing
like flexing. He's got
flexing.
He's like good arms.
Man, anyway. Like there was a lot of it in this movie.
There was a lot,
but it all made sense.
I will also say tasteful nudity. Like I think it was like there were sex scenes. You saw them having sex, but it wasn't anything like. I think the murder scenes weren't too gory. The sex scenes weren't too like, oh my god, like they're going like buck wild. You knew what was happening. It was like a subtle titty every now and again, like that would like pop out. But it was more about the ambiance and the presence that he was creating to set those scenes up that made it feel like, oh, I'm not supposed to enjoy this sex scene. He's doing something to kind of make it like feel icky a little bit.
And that I feel like is such a strength of this, right? Because it shows like as a movie, when that scene starts, he's like, you start dancing. I'm like, I feel so uncomfortable right now.
And you could tell the actresses made it feel uncomfortable too. What? No, don't read it. Just keep going.
I can't keep going.
I can't just help but now read it.
No, just keep going.
I'm gonna back up my man Marcus, and we're gonna keep going.
I'm not gonna read it out loud, but I am reading it to myself.
Oh my god.
Anyway, I feel like some movies could learn from this.
No, it's not.
All I'm saying. So, but yeah, I'm glad we rewatched this.
I am too. Like this was fun. I haven't watched this in a while. I haven't watched this in a while.
I mean, and this is one of those bedrock movies. I feel like because we had this as a quote, and I remember I was like, I don't remember American Psycho to remember this quote. So I'm really glad we did this review.
It was
me too. It's fun to revisit. Gentlemen, anything else? Anything that you all have to plug this week?
I am here to talk to you about Color Me Confetti on Etsy. My wife runs a shop on Etsy. Go to Etsy.com, type in Color Me Confetti as one word. Go check out her shop. Go check out all those party supplies you can print at your home. That's Color Me Confetti on Etsy.
Absolutely. Marcus, what do you got?
Make sure you follow the mantra, never offended, always humble. I'm also going to start throwing another slogan in here. Remember, it's always 5 or 500. Whether you have 5 people, 15, 50, 500, 5 million, they all get the same energy from you, 5 or 500. Don't forget to follow the mantra, never offended, always humble.
I'm reading that second comment.
I don't want to read the
can't
comment.
help. I've read it to myself. It's also a fair question. I want to plug. Doug the Plug wants to talk about this podcast. Hey, if you enjoyed listening to our take on American Psycho, recommend it to a friend or a family member. Best way to share and to get us some growth and to get new listeners is to share it that way. If you're feeling generous, head over to patreon.com/films in black and white. Sign up for one of our tiers there. We are a community funded podcast, so we greatly appreciate the community that funds us. So here's to looking out, gentlemen. We have a 3-step process to success. Brian, lay us down with that first step.
Hey, folks, I'm here to tell you to read a book. We have a holiday weekend coming up. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to just choose a book that you've been meaning to read and put your phone like 5 feet away. Because I know how this goes. You're like, I got free time. I'm going to read my book. And then you start looking at your phone. Put it 5 feet away. Makes a huge difference. You'll actually get through that book. Read a book.
Read a book.
That second step is, look, drink some water. Hey, look, we all like to party on the 4th of July, but look, all of that beer is going to go down and you're going to feel really bloated and gross. So make sure that you have a glass of water or several glasses of water. Stay hydrated. Your body will thank you. Also, drink this, spoil yourself every now and again to the nice water because, hey, you deserve it. So that's what I got. Drink some water. Marcus, bring us home.
You always want to make sure that you wash your ass after you drink your water, after you read a book. You want to make sure you wash your ass, get into the cracks and crevices. Make sure everybody knows that you are fresh and clean, because when you sit down, there's a backdraft and you don't want nobody smelling your backdraft. Make sure you wash your ass and change your damn towels. If they got bullet holes in them, it's time to change your towels and your loofah.
It might be time to change your neighborhood if they have bullet holes in them.
That's very true.
You might want to find somewhere else to live.
That's very true.
Towels are expensive.
Yeah, they really are.
That does it for this week's episode of Films in Black and White. We'll be back next week with another fantastic episode. But in the meantime, and in the between time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We'll catch y'all next week.
I really hope we don't get canceled.
Probably will. But that's okay.
Is it okay? Sorry, Brian. Brian didn't say anything. He just...
No, but he's 1/3, so he's just as complacent.
Look,
if Marcus is going down, we're all going down.
Look, I don't know how it all what the equation is here. Okay, I'm not gonna rain on your parade if you're having a good time. I don't know how to contribute.
Sorry, y'all. It was a bad joke. I shouldn't have said it. That's on me.
I enjoyed it.